let's start seated. Oh. We are going to work on lots of different lizard variations for our hip opening and stretching. I really like lizard because it'll stretch. It's like a high lunge in a way. It'll stretch one side here and the other side like deep in the hip because, you know, they're kind of in different directions. And then we're also going to work on our standing back bend. So, you know, some of you know, or maybe I've said this and I'm going to repeat myself, but whatever. I have a degree in physical therapy. I treated outpatient orthopedic injuries for years, and I kind of specialized a little bit in back care and stuff like that. So, almost every person, at least in America, will have an incident of back injury at some point in their life. Not that they necessarily have to take treatment for it, but it's very, very common. And probably the number one activity I would need people to do is back bend. And that had a lot to do with the fact that we, in our current culture, do a lot of sitting, right? We sit and drive to work in the morning and commute, and then a lot of people have a seated job where they're working at a computer, and then they drive home, and then you're exhausted, and you sit down and you relax. So there's a lot of sitting, which puts our back in this position, right? I mean, even when you try to have good posture through the day, you're basically here. And so the opposite of here, right? The opposite of this is this direction. So I would, you know, often and all the time be telling people, well, you got to get up and you got to go backwards. And that helps. It helps. It doesn't really always combat the amount of hours that you spend seated versus the few times you might go the other direction, right? But yoga is kind of nice for that because we do a lot of opening and back bending and opening like that. That helps out with a lot of back discomfort, or it can. So, anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because I had a lot of patients that would come in and be like, well, you know, I'm standing up 3 times a day and I'm going backwards, but my back pain's not gone. And I'm like, how many hours do you think you're spending seated? A lot of hours seated. It's hard to balance all of that. And we start to then definitely lose that range of motion, right? We definitely lose it. So we're gonna work on that standing back bend today. I like standing because you don't have to hit the floor like a weirdo, right? Like you're not going, hey, it's time to do my stretch. Let me lie down on the ground at work and go this direction. That's weird. So standing, you can easily kind of do a few things here or there. So anyway, we are going to work into that lizard and the standing back bends, but we'll start seated. And let's start, I actually did want to see if we can start with the Baddha Konasana feet. So the closer we bring them in together, maybe the more hip opening that we might experience, but we might have trouble sitting upright. So you kind of need to play with what this distance is, especially the first moments we're in that, right? And let's have our hands anywhere you like connected to your legs so that you can use those arms to help you open the chest just a little bit and take a couple of deep breaths with me. Inhale, let's see if we can reach the arms up overhead, and then as you exhale, fold forward however you like, just beginning to open up the hips and our low back. Walk your hands over to the right so you get a little side stretch. Back through center, and we'll go the other direction. And back to the middle, perhaps a little bit deeper since we've been both directions. Just a tad, we're still getting started. And then use your arms to help you come upright and place those hands behind your back. You can keep your legs as they are, or if you need to move them some other direction, you're finished, come back through center. Let's come over our legs into tabletop. Find some cat-cow movement, linking that movement to your breath. And we'll take this right into downward facing dog, so curl the toes and find some movement in your down dog that you might like this morning also. On your next inhale, travel your feet to the top of the mat. Just make that nice and slow. And then let your knees bend fairly generously so you can hang in a forward fold. Perhaps nod your head, yes, no. Bend the knees even more generously, round it up as you come up to standing. Let's reach the arms up overhead. Place your hands on your hips, heel toe your feet somewhat apart. You get to decide each time. Inhale, open the chest, pull the elbows together, and instead of dropping the head, shift the hips forward. Little bitty back bend here. Come back to center, reach the arms up overhead, heel toe the feet together, and fold forward, bending the knees as generously as you might like. Stay for a breath. Bend the hips more generously, round it up. Really see how much rounding you can get. When you get to the top, reach the arms up, heel toe the feet apart, some hands to the hips. Take your back bend. Inhale, open, bring the hips forward, drop the head only if you like right now. We'll come back to center, bring the feet together. We're gonna keep this pattern going, fold forward. Stay in your fold for a breath. Drop the hips, round it up. Rounding, rounding, rounding. Reach up, heel toe the feet apart. Take your standing back bend. Come back to center as you're ready. Feet together, all the way or most of the way, fold forward. Stay for a breath. Drop the hips, round it as you come up. Reach up, feet come apart. Take your standing back bend. You stay for a breath. Continue this pattern on your own, staying in any positions for longer if you feel like you need that. We'll just do a couple of rounds on our own. When you're finished, we'll end in Tadasana, standing at the top of the mat. That's how we'll know that we're ready to proceed. Maybe hands at your side, maybe at heart center. You get to decide what you might like. And we'll take a vinyasa from here. Inhale, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift up. Palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up. Let's warm up that core. Hold this plank. Tap the right knee down to the ground or hover, and then straighten the leg out. Same thing, other side, tapping or hovering. Just pedal back and forth like that, like you're pedaling something. Holding the belly up and in, puffing the space out between the shoulder blades. And then come to stillness in your plank on your toes or your knees, lower all the way down to the ground. 3 cobras. We're warming up this back. The first one is tiny, maybe no hands. And release back down. Maybe it becomes a little bit larger, using the arms to help you open up a little more. Shoulders away from the ears. Release back down. This is our larger one of the 3. That doesn't mean we have to come all the way up. You decide how far. And then release back down. Curl the toes or stay on the knees. See if you can push back to your push-up, whether it's the toes or the knees, and then swing the hips. Down dog. Find your breath. On your next inhale, travel to the top of the mat. Halfway lift up. Exhale and fold. Drop the hips so you can round it up when you come up to standing. We're taking that nice rounding. Reach the arms up, heel toe. Give feet apart, hands to the hips. Inhale, open the chest, and as you exhale, sink into your standing back bend. Take another breath there. Use the strength of your core to come upright. Reach the arms overhead, feet come back together. Fold forward. Halfway lift up. Palm the mat, step back to the top of your push-up. We're still warming up here. This time, instead of dropping the knee, we'll bring the foot off the ground and then release other side. Back and forth, see if you can keep your hips just as level as possible even though you're moving your legs. A few rounds of this. I know I'm feeling it fired up. Oh, darn. And then release all the way down to the ground again. Your 3 cobras on your inhales. You decide how much you raise up or down. 2 more. There's only like 5 of them. Last one, inhaling to open. Exhaling down. It's a challenge if you're taking it to push back into your push-up. That could be on your knees as well. And then down dog. Oh, nice, everybody. Nice work. On your next inhale, reach the right leg up to the sky. 3-legged dog. Bend it and stack. Open up to the side. We're going to take that foot to the outside of the right hand. Keep the left hand on the ground and twist open to the right. So it's pretty wide. It's kind of like a lizard lunge, but we don't have the leg on the ground. Release the hand back down. Listen up. Let's see if we can step forward with the other side to the outside and sink down into Malasana. Malasana being our close cousin to lizard. Take a breath. Inhale, we're coming upright. We already have our feet wide, so let's leave them there, even though it might be wider than before. Hands to the hips, take your standing back bend. Come back upright, bring the feet together so when you fold forward, they're not wide. Halfway lift up. Step back to the top of your push-up. This will be our last round where we add something to the push-up. This time we'll take a foot, tap it out to the side, back to center, take the other side. Tapping in and out, building that core strength. Right? One more time each side. And then lower to the ground, take your 3 cobras. Make our way to down dog. Perhaps you'll push into that push-up first or that tall plank, and then down dog. Take a breath, and then we'll do the other side. Left leg raising high, 3-legged. Bend and stack to open up. Let's just pause there a moment. And step to the outside of the same hand. Keep the right hand on the ground this time. And twist to open up that fire, what do they call that? Like a firefly sometimes, or a lizard twist. Hand to the ground, we're stepping the right foot forward into Malasana squat. Find a breath.
4, 3, 2, hold it down, Mama.
This is
Hold it
smoke.
down nice and low.
Like cigarette smoke?
No.
4, 3,
Fire camps.
2,
Oh, maybe they're burning over there.
take out that
Let's come up tall. Take our back bend here, so take your feet wherever you might like them. The wider, the kinder it can be. And then come upright, heel toe the feet together, taking our forward fold here. Halfway lift up on the inhale. Take the vinyasa of your choice as you exhale. That might be no vinyasa at all. Maybe you're going to start to add an up dog instead of a cobra. One not better than the other, just different. We'll meet in down dog. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, bend and stack open to the side. Step to the outside of the same hand. Keep the left hand down, twist open to the right. Bring your hand back to the center, but this time drop the back knee. We're in our lizard lunge. Let's keep the hands on the ground instead of dropping down to the forearms. Reach the chest through the shoulders. Press that left hip bone down towards the ground. Let's pull the belly up. It's tricky. Briefly come onto the outside edge of your right foot so that hip opens up just a little differently, just for a breath. And then we're gonna heel toe the foot inside the right hand. Back knee is still dropped. Inhale as you come up into your grounded lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. Let's take a twist to the right, elbow coming to the outside, hands at heart center to help you twist, looking over your back shoulder, right. Come back to center, release your hands, take a vinyasa or do not take a vinyasa. We'll end up in down dog together. Left leg, here we go. Bring that left leg up, bend and stack open to the side. Bring your foot to the outside of the left hand. Keep the right hand down, twist open. Drop your left hand inside your foot and then drop the back knee. Stay on your hands for this round of your lizard lunge. Press the right hip bone down towards the ground, chest opening towards me or towards the windows. Drop your foot out to the outside edge on the left, opening the hip a little differently. And then as you come back upright, keep heel toeing until you're on the inside of the left hand. Square the hips, come up into your low lunge, grounded lunge. Really opening into that right hip joint, keep the belly in. Release your hands down to the ground and curl the back toes. Take a vinyasa or no vinyasa. Let's meet in down dog. Right side again, reach it to the sky, bend and stack open to the side. Bring your foot to the outside of the right hand. We'll first come into our twist, so keep the left hand down, open up, maybe exaggerating it even more. Drop the right hand, and then drop the back knee as you come into your lizard. This time, let's bring the hands forward a bit. And maybe you're gonna keep walking them forward. You decide how far as you're feeling your stretch. Yeah? Well, look at Azita there. There you go. Walk those hands back underneath your chest. Heel toe the right foot in. Come up into your grounded lunge. Reach the arms up overhead. And then side bend to the right. The bent knee side. So it opens up that left hip even more. Come back to center. You can keep the arms up or at your hips or on the ground as you curl the back toes, and then reach up coming into your high lunge. This is a wide high lunge, but despite that, we're gonna step forward into warrior three. Hands can stay forward, they can reach back like airplane at heart center. You decide, balance. Yeah, I know. Drop the left hip, toes on the left side, flexing and pointing towards the ground. Take one more breath. And then come upright, bringing the feet out as far as you need. Settle into your back bend. So I don't want you to whiz right into that. Instead, you're gonna take your time, set yourself up properly, and take your standing back bend. Everybody has hands on their hips. Let's see if you can walk those hands down the back of your thighs. Heel toe together and bring hands to heart center. Tadasana. Right? It didn't seem like that was going to be too hard until we did it. Reach the arms up overhead. We got to get back for the other side. First, come into your warrior 3 with the left leg lifted. Instead of taking our vinyasa, we're going to step back gently into that high lunge. Back foot drops, so the left foot is dropped. I know we're still on the right side. Reach the arms up overhead. And now bring hands to your hips here. Take your little back bend here. That might mean only the chest comes up. It might mean the head drops. It might mean that you're really reaching back. You get to decide. Come upright. Use the strength of your belly to bring your chest forward over your thigh. And then release your hands. Step back to down dog. We're skipping that vinyasa. Take some breaths. Using our down dog to help neutralize our spine. On your next inhale, left leg reaches high. Bend and stack to open up to the side. Step to the outside of the left hand. Keep the right hand down. First we'll come into that twist and maybe you'll exaggerate it, opening up even more. Drop that left hand down. Drop the back knee. We're coming into our lizard. And we tried playing around with bringing the hands out in front of us. How far can we go? Still finding stability and stretch. Still pulling the belly in. Still finding our breath. Begin to walk the hands back to center and then heel toe the foot in. Square the hips, inhale, reach the arms up into your grounded lunge. Bring that left hand down to the side. First a side stretch to open up that right hip even more. Back to center. Bring your hands to your hips. Take your little back bend here in this grounded lunge. Use your belly to come upright. We can leave the hands here or come to the ground, curl the back toes, and come into our high lunge. I know, my leg is shaking. We're stepping it forward, so first reach overhead, and then step it forward into your warrior 3. It's okay if we take a few steps. Again, you decide what you do with the arms, but think about squaring the hips and pointing your right toes down toward the ground. Take another breath here. We're coming back up to standing, bringing our feet wherever we like them, slowly, mindfully setting ourselves up for our standing back bend. Last time I had you take your hands from here after your back bended to place them here. So let's try just starting with our hands in that upper thigh area. Inhale, open the chest. Remember to have a bit of softness at the knees as you come into your back bend, like you're reaching for the crease of your knee. Come back upright, and when you're ready, heel toe the feet back together, hands at heart center. Yes. Let's take ourselves to down dog. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. On your exhale, fold forward. Bend the knees as much as you need to. We've been in a back bend a few times. We might need extra time in our forward fold. When you're ready, inhale, half lift. Palm the mat to take your vinyasa to down dog. Inhale, reach the right leg high. Bend and stack, open up to the side. Step to the outside of the right hand. Twist open, left hand is down. Release into your lizard, dropping the back knee. Maybe coming onto your elbows. I think all of you can do that. If you find that easy, then think about lining your elbows up with your front heel and see what happens in your hip. Pull the belly in.
Awesome job, Thomas. You're here for 5, 4, 3.
Come upright onto your hands, come up onto your fingertips, and then take that lizard stretch the other way into that front hip. A lot like we do in our grounded lunge, but we're keeping the leg out to the side. Ground into the left hand so you can heel toe the right foot in, and then sink down into your grounded lunge before reaching the arms up overhead. Bring your hands to your hips, take a little back bend here. Come back to center, reach the arms up overhead, or keep them on your hips. I should have said that. Curl the back toes. Let's come into that high lunge. And let's take a twist in our high lunge, reaching that left elbow to the outside of the thigh, opening up here. Looking over your back shoulder, your back elbow, belly in. Keep this connection at your thigh. Look down in front of your right foot and then see if you can step forward into your twisted chair. So just step forward with that left hand. I say just, but you know, that's not easy. Keep the hips low, keep your twist, find your breath. Come to center and then reach the arms up overhead. Let's keep the feet where they are so they're together this time as we come into our back bend. That likely means we will not go as deep. That's okay. Come upright, reach the arms up overhead. Fold forward. Take a half lift and a vinyasa of your choice to down dog. Left leg is raised, three-legged, bend and stack to open up. Bring your foot to the outside of the left hand. Drop the back knee. Nope, wait, let's come into our twist first. So keep the right hand down and open into our twist. Now we'll bring that hand down, drop the back knee, come into our lizard. You all came onto your forearms the other side. So let's see if we can't do that again. And remember, if it feels rather easy, then you can make that more challenging by trying to line up your heel and your elbows. Take notice of what's happening in your body. Where do you need to soften and where do you need to engage? Let's come upright. Walk our hands back so that we can be on our fingertips, so we can be in that nice tall lizard lunge, opening that right hip flexor. And then we'll come down onto our hands enough that we can bring the foot in and sink down again. Reach the arms up overhead. We're gonna pick up that twist on this side. So hands coming to heart center and twist into your low lunge, your grounded lunge. We'll unwind, coming back to center. You might keep the arms overhead or not. Curl the back toes. High lunge. Twisting again in our high lunge, so hands to heart center, connect to the outside edge of the left thigh. First, shift your gaze back over the back shoulder. And now shift your gaze forward. We're going to step forward into that twisted chair. Nice job. Come to center. Reach the arms up overhead. Lift the right leg into warrior three. Step back into your high lunge here. Reach the arms up overhead. Take a little bit of a back bend. That's just because I didn't have us step back on this side. Breathe. Come back use your hands, step back to down dog. Wave it out to like a rounded high plank and then step the right leg to the outside of the right hand. Left leg comes forward, Malasana, sit it down, hands to heart center if that's available. Hands come back to the mat, step back with the left leg first, then the right leg. Repeat by doing that on the opposite side. Left leg comes forward first this time, then the right leg, sink the hips, hands to the heart, Malasana. Drop the hands, right leg will step back first, then the left leg. Keep going, we're on the right side first. Actively working into that type of lizard posture where we're having to pull up and in as we come forward. One more time with left leg leading. And if we get a little mixed up which side we did, no worries. Doesn't really matter, does it? We're working hard. We're here at our plank and we're gonna lower all the way down to the ground. Let it be nice and easy and gentle, why not? Rest on one cheek or the other. Take the right arm out to the side like a half T, only the right arm coming out to the side. Bring the left fingertips to the mat and lift the left leg to pull and bend the knee to bring your foot behind you, opening into your shoulder and into that left hip flexor. Unwind. We'll take that on the other side. So taking your time to set up, bringing the left arm out, right fingertips down, and then coming into your twist and shoulder opener on this side. Unwind, coming back to center, placing your head however you like for resting on the mat. I sometimes like to cross my palms and then rest my forehead. Bend the knees and then gently windshield wiper back and forth. Release the legs, bring the toes together. Place your hands by your side so you can press back into your child's pose. Let's make those knees nice and wide. Still kind of mimicking what's happening into our lizard hips. Head can come to the ground. Forearms can rest on the ground. Think about sending your relaxing breath, so the exhale, sending that relaxation into your hips and low back so you can feel yourself sinking into those joints even more. Two more breaths here. Come forward, make your way to plank, top of your push-up. We're going to combine some of those movements we did earlier. So drop the right knee, hover or tap, raise it up, raise the whole leg up in the air, tap it out to the side, bring it back, and release the foot. Drop the left knee. When you bring it up, raise the whole leg into the air, take it out to the side for a tap, bring it back, come back to your plank. One more time, right knee drops, bring the whole leg up, tap it out to the side, bring it back to center, then release the foot. Left knee taps, bring the whole leg up, out to the side, back to center, drop the foot, and then bring the hips nice and high. Oh, down dog. Ah. Right leg high again, three-legged bend and stack. Bring your foot to the outside of the front hand. Drop the back knee this time as you come into your twist with the back knee down. Just see how that feels for you. See how it's different or not different. Bring your hand to the ground. Keep the hands on the ground, curl the back toe, and hover that back knee. So it's like a lizard, of course, low lunge, right? Then we'll drop that knee and come down onto our forearms again. Maybe you'll put more weight into the left forearm and wiggle that right arm underneath your foot, underneath your front thigh, right? Just playing around. Let's come back. Up on the hands, listen up, curl the back toes. So we're hovering again. Become strong in that left hand and take that again. So I have to drop that right elbow to curl it around and come underneath. Okay, we got to get out of that mess, don't we? Unwind, drop the back knee, bring the foot in, and let's sink into our grounded lunge. I mean, really, I never thought I'd be grateful for a grounded lunge because, whew, this is a big stretch for me. Begin to tip your head back. Keep the fingers overhead. Gaze up at them perhaps. Watch them reach overhead. And then fingertips to the ground or to the hips, curl the back toe. High lunge. This time when we step forward into our balance posture, let's hug the left knee into the chest. Oh yeah, that hip needed a release after all that. Or mine did. Take it into your tree posture. And then drop that foot to meet the other as you sink into your chair. Hands stay at heart center. Twist to the right. Connect that left elbow. We're gonna step back into our twist. So we'll release the left leg and step back as gracefully as possible. We're in a lunge twist here. Once you find that balance, you can look over your back shoulder. Then we'll come back to center. I'm gonna keep my hands at heart center. And vinyasa or no vinyasa to down dog from here. Let's do the left side before I forget what we've done. Left leg high, bend and stack. Come to the outside of the left hand. We'll drop the back knee but ground into the right hand and take our twist with the knee on the ground. Left hand down. Curl the back toes. We're gonna first hover that back knee in our lizard. And then we're gonna drop the knee so we can come on to our elbows. Keeping the right elbow where it is. If possible, we'll snake that left arm through. Give your neighbor a wave. That's right. Unwind. Come onto the hands, curl the toes, and we'll play with the same thing on our hands and with the back knee lifted. Give your neighbor a little wave. Oh, great, loved that. Release, drop the knee, heel toe the left foot in, and come up into your grounded lunge. Reach the arms overhead. We're gonna watch our fingers again in this grounded lunge. So look up at your hands. This might be where we stay, or you might reach those fingers back behind you and keep gazing at them. Use the strength of your belly to come upright. I'm bringing my hands to the ground to come onto the back foot because I'm getting tired. Reaching the arms up overhead in your high lunge. Step forward to hug the right knee. Yay, we're off that thigh stretch. Right? Come into your tree. I'm going to keep my hands at heart center because this is really kind of just about opening the hip and finding some ease. Well, I'm falling, so let's drop that foot down and sink into our chair. And we'll take our twist to the left. We're keeping this connection as well as we can and stepping back into our lunge with a twist. Once you find your balance, you can shift your gaze to the back. We'll unwind, reach the arms overhead in our lunge. And then thank goodness we will take our vinyasa or skip our vinyasa and meet in down dog. Bring your hands to the back of the mat. Bend the knees generously and then round it up one vertebra at a time. Turn around so you're facing away from me. Face the other direction. Just turn yourself around. Bring your feet where you like them for your standing back bend. Because y'all are going to look at me. Feet where you like them for your standing back bend. Hands where you like them for your standing back bend. And begin to bend into that standing back bend. Maybe you can meet my gaze. Knew it. Take another breath. And then come upright. Oh, right? Oh, sweep those hips back and forth. Sometimes if I have a goal, I can manage something. Ooh.
It warmed up.
It did warm up. It's going to be a warm day today, I think. Mercifully, the group did not stay here the whole time. I'm going to stay to that. Okay, make your way back to the top of the mat. I know we ended at the back of that, so you could turn around and see me in your back bend. Let's reach the arms up overhead. Fold forward. Maybe you like to bend your knees so you can really round in. Halfway lift up. Palm the mat. Take the vinyasa or no vinyasa of your choice. We're not quite done yet, so if you would like to save a bit of energy, feel free to skip any vinyasas. Let's bring the right leg high, bend and stack, open up to the side. Step to the outside of your right foot. Take the lizard that you like. The lizard stretch that you like. We'll be here for 5 breaths, and then I'm going to show you a balance that you can do in your lizard, but we want to be nice and stretched into it first. So this is actually something you can play around with your knee being on the ground, but you have much less space than when your knee is not on the ground. So it's basically taking that right arm just like you waved it before, but this time I would kind of hold it out to the side, maybe touching, maybe hands going out to the side. I just don't really quite have the space I want to come all the way up, so instead I'm going to take that back foot or back knee off the ground to come into this more fully. Come underneath, opening up. You're here in this lizard lunge balance. You might even bind behind your back. I can't look up at you, so I'm going to unwind. See how y'all are doing, right? Okay, come on out. Come on out. Let's take a moment and have a seat. Wiggle it out, and I'm going to show you the lizard arm balance because we're already right there. And some of you are not going to try it, and some of you might try it, okay? The lizard arm balance looks like this. We'll do the same side because that's where we're at, because we're only doing this lizard one more time. All right, so we're here. But this time I'll plant my hands firmly because I'm in an arm balance. Come up to my back toe to give me space to curl this toe forward. Chaturanga arms, chaturanga arms, chaturanga arms, chaturanga arms. Play. Right side. So maybe you're gonna stay in lizard, maybe you're done with all that and you're gonna child's pose and go like this and be like, oh, let's see what these yogis do. Yep, it's underneath there. Hands have to come on the ground. And then you kind of wiggle that front toe backwards so it's off. Yes. Chaturanga arms, almost like your nose is going to touch the ground. But don't jump. Don't jump. That back leg. Well, eventually it's going to come up. Don't jump it up though. It's like a hinge. You got to hinge forward and up. And if your forehead comes to the ground, no problem, because you can probably pick it up from there. I mean, my face is really low to the ground when I'm in that. Don't biff your head on the concrete though. Yeah, that's it. That's about it. You're getting there.
All the weight is on my wrist.
Yes.
Probably not supposed to.
Yes, well, I mean, where else is it going to be, right? Let's sink back into a child's pose. Oh, right. Come off those hands. So I like to just rotate my palms to the sky. I feel like that releases my shoulders when I want to really relax in child's pose. But some of you might like to reach back instead. I don't know. I just feel like if I do this, palms up, it kind of releases my shoulders a bit. Yeah, I mean that right hand for that particular side is going to get the major strain because your whole body's over on there. Yes. Okay, well, you're in luck. You've got another side. So we get to repeat some nonsense on the other side. Let's first come into down dog. So just come forward, curl the toes, down dog, pedal it out, find some release. And then the left leg comes high, we bend and stack. Take your foot to the outside and come into the lizard stretch of your choice because we're gonna be there for 5 minutes and I want you to, not 5 minutes, 5 breaths. I'm getting carried away here. So I want you to find wherever you can kind of release into it, get the best opening for you. And then we'll come upright and perhaps you're gonna play around with that balance. I do heel toe my foot in a little bit. I can't have that too wide to find this balance where I'm reaching out or binding. If you're not doing any of that and you're also ready to be out of lizard, you could release into Malasana. You could sit down into Baddha Konasana. You can play around with those things because then next maybe you come out, maybe you stay where you're at. Take that flying lizard if you're taking it, right? Yes. Yes, look at you. She's flying that lizard. Woo! We'll all release into child's pose when we're ready. So if you feel like you need to do that again because you're so cool, like, right? It is cool to do some funky stunt. Then feel free and we'll release into our child's pose whenever we're finished. That was good, Azita. Everyone did a good job. Everyone did a really good job. When you're ready, push up into your downward facing dog. Take a breath there, and then walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend the knees as generously as you might like, and then round it up as you come up to standing. We're gonna do one final set of standing back bends. And I say set because, you know, this might be something I'm asking you to do that's new, so you might have to try it more than once, because the first time is always like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna find a space at the wall. It doesn't have to be a block, it can be at the window. We're not gonna crash through anything. And we're gonna use that wall to help us come in to our back bend. So at first, like, right, we're gonna just see where we need to be. So every one of us is gonna need to be a different distance from the wall, depending on what kind of back bending. I'm gonna be generous to myself though. I definitely prefer a back bend with my knees or my feet apart. I still kind of want to start the same way, chest raising, look back at that beam that I'm going to try to cut, and then reach over. Then I can decide how far I'm going to walk my fingers down, and also maybe I need to change my distance. That's a perfect way to come into that too. That's perfect. Right, so I was a little bit close. If I want to go further, I'd need to step out. And then take that wherever I'm gonna head. I do like to play around with the idea of pushing into the wall, so I really work on pushing my arms through there. Yeah, you don't have to have your feet glued there. If they need to move out, that's okay. Just try that as many times as you might like. And then we'll come out of it and we'll begin to work on releasing our back from all these back bends. That looks really good. It is hard. It is hard. So there is a way, you know, to walk all the way down into wheel from there, but I'm not going to ask us to play around with any of that. We're on concrete. It does not seem like a great idea to me. So we're not going to do that. Let's do one more time, all together. Get yourself set up and press into that wall.
Alright, I'm between you get here, lock your shoulders, you're getting into some booty kickers. If you want to come into the shade, we
And then
can
walk up the wall so that you have less space to come up. Walk up the wall
booty kickers here.
and head back to your mat when
And
you
I
are
have
ready.
a
Yes.
would you rather game that we're going to play, football edition. So,
So I'll just
it is the
say,
first option.
if you play around with that at
You're
home,
going to do
I don't like people to twist out of that. I feel like that's asking for a bit of an injury, a bit of a tweaking in the spine if you do that. Right? It would look like this. You're here, you got down further than you thought, and you're like, I gotta get out.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
But I find that that could be a real strain on yourself. Like, you could give yourself a good kink, right, doing that. So instead, you're gonna work real hard
Would you
to
rather
walk
watch
back up
college
until you get to
football
somewhere you
or
can do to come up.
NFL football?
As best you can. Or at least if you're up here and have to twist out, you're not at the end range and twisting out. So just sort of, if you were to by chance do something like that at home, let's have a seat. Let's have a seat. You'll deserve some really good stretches after that, right?
Hi, I think it's boat pose today.
Well, I'm not going to put us right into boat pose. I actually am not. I want you to find a comfortable crisscross and then do a couple rounds of cat-cow.
Are you eating nachos
Just a few.
or a hot dog?
And then when you're ready, fold over your bent knees. Just beginning to stretch out our low back. We're going to work into that stretch, work into that forward fold. Come upright, switch. Well, you won't need to because you're in Baddha Konasana, but switch which foot is in front. Again, a couple rounds of cat-cow, or if it feels good, you might take that side to side, just a little movement. And then when you're ready, fold over your legs again.
With your band, make sure you bring your band with you.
Come upright and straighten your legs out. So our objective here is to get a nice rounding in our back after all these back bends. So if we want to, we can take the hamstrings out of that equation and then round with the knees bent a lot or a little. And you might even start that way and then go, okay, I want to straighten out a little bit more and a little bit more until you're all the way straight, or you might like to keep them bent. We're staying here for several breaths. begin to come upright, and then we're gonna hollow out the belly to lie all the way down. We're coming back up. I do like to do a bit of core work after that back bending because it really helps to take us the other direction. We're gonna incorporate it with our forward fold. So stretch overhead, use a bit of momentum, come upright, belly strong, come all the way up into seated, and then fold over. Come up, round it down. Arms will come overhead. A little momentum, or a lot, right? Depends on what we need. Come all the way up and over. Continue on your own, taking as deep as you need in each direction. One more round and we'll lie on our backs and adjust ourselves. I always end up traveling around the mat when I do this. So when you next get to your back, stay there, but make yourself comfortable on your mat. So center yourself however you need to. And then we'll hug the right knee into the chest. Just join me when you're ready. Release and hug the left knee in. Release and hug both knees in. Stay in stillness or rock side to side if you like. If this feels like the release you need, then stay here or come into your spinal twist, dropping your knees over to the side. We'll all be a little different, so it's okay if we don't all do the same thing. When you're ready, take those knees to the other side. Since we all did a rotation, we'll all do it on the other side as well. Center and finish your practice with anything you would like, anything that makes you feel good. And then come into Shavasana. Maybe that's with the feet bent today. I'm not bent. Maybe that's with the feet on the ground. You decide. As you become ready to come out of your Shavasana, maybe you kind of take a nice deep full breath, really fill the lungs. Maybe you like to exhale that out as you begin to find some movement. When you're ready, just slowly, gently making your way to seated. If you like, bring your hands to heart center. Take a final inhale with me. Let that exhale spill out. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste. It wouldn't be a bad idea to do some standing back bends in the next 2 weeks. As you know, you can take those to varying degrees, and the first one always feels bad, and the second one generally feels bad. Like, you know, often you gotta do a few to warm into that, right?
They generally all feel bad.